Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Safety Meeting Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Heckert. Have you ever been watching the credits roll after a movie and seen the description, grips? Have you ever wondered what a grip is? What does a grip do? Why do we need grips? Well, today we're going to find out. We have two very good grips here. Good grips? Good grips. That's weird to say. I'm going to keep that in there. Good grips. We have key grips with us today. A couple of key grips. Keys are the department heads in film sets and in the movie business. We have Adam Shambour and Nick Lundstrom with us today, and they join us to tell us all about what it's like gripping and ripping. And I learned a lot. I thought I knew as much as you could know about gripping, but I didn't know anything. They taught me a lot. It was a lot of fun. They drank a couple beers, and we had a good time shooting the grip. Set humor, right? Give me a break. It's my first live show back since quarantine. These guys, they came in and washed their hands and sat down. It might have been the first time these two grips ever washed their hands. Hey-oh, grip jokes. Ha ha. Don't hit me again. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode, learning about what it's all about to be a grip, and maybe just find some insight into the film business and what it's like, being around grips. If you're interested in working hard and strapping cameras to stuff, maybe you should think about being a grip yourself. Thanks for watching, everybody. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Safety Meeting Podcast. Thanks. Welcome back to the Safety Meeting Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Isaac Heckert. Today's very special guests, we've got Adam Shambour and Nick Lundstrom. I'm pointing, but that's going to look weird because I'm either going to be in the middle or we're going to see all three faces at once. Welcome to the show, boys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The very special thing about these two gentlemen is that they are grips. So what you don't know about grips is, you probably don't know anything about grips, but when you're watching the movie titles, it's the one thing that everybody always says, what's a grip? So that's what I want to open up with. What is your definition of what you guys do?
I mean, you want to go or
sandbags and ladders?
Yeah,
right.
That's pretty much it. We support camera and we carry pretty much every other department that doesn't come prepared.
Right.
So
yeah. You mean the art department?
Any department. Everybody comes and needs a C-stand, sandbag, ladder. Hey, can you get this? Can you carry that? I can't loosen this. Hey, tall guy with the hat, come over here.
We're in charge of camera support, lighting support. Basically, if a DP comes to us and says we need a camera to go across this canyon, we got to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have the coolest toys.
Yeah, we have the
dolly sliders, cranes, jibs, techno cranes. If it's going to get strapped to a car, bolted under a door frame, tied to a train, if it's getting mounted somehow, it's your responsibility to do it and do it safely.
We're engineers without a degree.
There you go.
That's essentially what it is.
Well, like you said, you have to do it safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is we're also in charge of like the general safety and well-being of the crew too.
Mm-hmm.
If we got a 2,000-pound rig above talent, we got to figure out how we're going to do that safely.
Yep. Because last thing you want is a camera going through Tom Cruise's face.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Or slipping on an apple box.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd probably live through it with all that Illuminati money that he has.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Yeah. So the way that you guys get jobs is, let's just talk about the whole way that jobs happen and different crew members. But like a director will put his treatment in, he'll get the award. He'll work with his favorite producer. The first question the producer is going to ask to that director is, who do you want to shoot this? Right?
Right.
And then the director will go, my favorite DP or cinematographer is this dude.
Right.
And then he makes 3 phone calls, right? He calls his first AC, he calls his key grip, and he calls his gaffer. And then from there, those 3 department heads will call their staff and crew that out, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Cool. That's the end of the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
I'm out.
So the way to keep busy in town is to have many cinematographer friends, right? Is that it for you guys?
Yeah, but also be good at your craft too. You know,
that would help.
Like, and come prepared, and I mean, do your due diligence on being a grip. You know, to essentially know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to be likable, as I would say. I mean, I work with a lot of people that we grip circles around, and but they're hilarious to be around. We love them. They're our brothers. They're our friends.
Right.
And that's where you'll like find more people that you'd like to be with and work around with more, because you're going to be spending 12, 14, 16 hours with them a day.
Yeah.
So if you hate that guy, you're going to replace him with somebody that you like, even if he works half as hard.
Right. That's a reoccurring theme for every department, right?
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We're spending more time with these people on set than we actually spend with our family. So I mean, it has to be almost a marriage on set too.
right.
Of who you're working with.
Yeah, you got 5 husbands.
Yeah. What's up?
I don't ever pictured in my whole life that I would look a key grip in the face and go, "Hey man, you got 5 husbands."
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I think the best way to associate, like the most famous reference to a grip in any movie would be the Tropic Thunder scene.
Classic.
Oh my God.
When
Hands
Tom
down.
Cruise,
That is exactly
Yeah.
what a key grip does. Right
yeah,
there.
Tom Cruise is talking to the whole crew. The movie's going like shit, and he's talking to the director, and he's like, "Which one of y'all motherfuckers is the key grip?" I want you to punch him right in the face. And that's what I mean. You know, if the studio owner says, "Hey man, you want to keep working for this studio? You're going to punch this director," that dude's getting laid out.
That's going to be the person on set that's
I
going
think
to
any
actually
key
do
grip, honestly, if he was told by a producer, go punch that guy in the face without hesitation.
that. Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
hands down.
full pass.
Yeah.
A lot of
You're
people
like,
forget that.
Free card?
A lot of people forget
A
that.
lot of people forget the
Yeah.
importance of their grips.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on set with grips, with key grips that, you know, older guys that are in their 40s and their 50s that are well respected. And, you know, there was one instance where this key grip took a battery block and threw it at the director and told him to, you know, go pound sand, take a long walk off short pier.
Wow.
He walked off set, told his guys, hey, take, you know, the rest of the night to wrap this thing. They had 13 hours of double time because they spent all that wrapping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it still happens.
I mean, we
Yeah.
have very
You know,
sharp and heavy objects in
That's
our
right.
arsenal. I mean,
And there's a lot of them. And there's 10 names for every single thing on your truck too.
yeah.
And it's just in California.
Yeah.
You know, once you start going east, and you use triple, quadruple.
What's
things
the
that
number
make
one?
sense.
Yeah.
The number one, always the butt plug.
You got a butt plug?
We
That's
have a
his-
butt plug.
That's his favorite piece of gear.
Yep.
I bet.
I mean,
You got 3 or 4 of those on you at all times, don't you?
In 'em,
All
yeah.
One
time.
for each husband.
yeah. If they get out of
One for
line,
each
I mean,
ex-husband.
we gotta sort that out.
Yeah.
No.
So on set, we would show up, and then, you know, every shoot's different, right? But if there was a through line to your work day, what would you say it would be? Like a typical, like let's say a commercial shoot, 1 day commercial shoot. What would your workflow be?
Well, I was thinking about this before even coming. You know, the crazy thing is like our department has to focus on our department, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of layers to each department, right? You know, electric has to focus on powering the whole set and other
Charging our phones.
charging our phones.
That's right.
And other things, right? The grip department doesn't necessarily have to just focus on gripping. Like, you know, we'll get our department to come to us and go, we need 100 feet of crushed velvet hung behind the set the day of.
Right.
And we got to figure that out.
And they didn't talk about it on the scout.
Didn't talk about it on Scout. And then you got PAs coming to us. Hey, can you help us with these pop-up tents? We need sandbags for this. Or, you know, electric's now coming to us. And, you know, oh, we actually need another 20-foot rail popped up in the grid to hang some lights on the day. It's like there's never a set task for grips. It's always like we got to figure out everything for the set.
Right.
So
They just
I mean-
hand you a problem, and you have to kind of go with it.
Right.
you got to figure it out.
And you got to have stuff on your truck.
to do it.
You gotta have everything.
Right.
And if you
Everything.
don't, you have to know that you don't have it and say, you know what? Let's do it this way instead. Instead of doing all this and, you know, working 10 times as harder, how about we embrace that? And you try
Right.
and
Lean into it.
if you're what I've learned key gripping a lot is if you can try and push your ideas and to make it your decision, you as the, you know, superior key or your DP or whatever, that's when your DPs will think of you. You're like, oh, you're actually a part of this.
Right.
You're not just some guy tell, hey, go rig lights. You're
Right.
like, oh, you're actually
Help,
here.
help me solve this problem.
Well, you're hearing, you're seeing problems that I might not be seeing.
Yeah.
That I'm trying to fix, and all I'm doing is screwing it up even worse.
Yeah.
When it's like, why is step 12 undoing step 2?
Yeah, and that's a theme in almost every department in the film business is making your boss's life easier,
Yep.
Right.
making things more efficient or making things cheaper, and you make yourself invaluable.
Well, that's how you get hired again.
That's right. Because I think a lot of people tend to fall in the trap of like they get singularly focused on the one job that they're on, and they don't necessarily think about the jobs down the road.
Right.
And some people kind of get, and I'm super guilty of this a lot, is, I'll get upset about something that's happening on set, not realizing that my actions may be affecting my ability to get hired by that producer or that director again. And you never really know who's throwing your name around. I've gotten referrals from grips before.
Yeah. Right.
'Cause in a director DP situation.
Well, that's the thing. Like Paul Giacalone. When Giacalones were the first people I ever worked for as a grip, and that was like the pivotal moment of being a grip, is hearing these words from that man. Is there was another older grip working that day, and he was giving me a hard time because I was new at it. But I remember Paul stepped in one time because he saw that I was struggling, and he saw I was getting my butt reamed, and he said, "Hey, calm down, dude, because this kid could be your boss someday."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truth.
Yep.
Whether it's a PA, whether it's anybody on set, treat them with respect, because honestly, they could be your boss someday.
Mm-hmm.
So
you never know. Everybody's somebody's nephew
exactly.
or niece.
Well, people get opportunities that they shouldn't sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Me and him worked for a key grip. This kid got handed an opportunity, and I took opportunities when I was 19, when I was in this industry, and they were great. I was, I had a guy walk off set one time because I was his gaffer at the time. I was 19 years old. He was in his 40s, and he's like, "I'm not working for some snot-nosed kid."
Wow.
Like, all right, dude, you can go home. That's fine.
Yeah.
But people get handed opportunities where they shouldn't. And luckily on that job, we hit the key grip, dropped the ball. We needed a dolly. We needed a jib. We needed a this and that. And it was the biggest part of the job. If it wasn't for that, we were done for. There was no shoot.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego.
So, that was a different one.
Yeah.
But, we ended up constructing a moving jib that all had a speed rail and fittings and stuff. It's just like it was a monstrosity, but it worked.
Right.
And I even had to get in the pool and pull it down as he was pushing. And if that key grip didn't have us there or didn't have any solutions, so we were the ones that came up with that.
Right.
And like what we were talking about before this, it's like that was a good point you brought up, Nick, because in my eyes, 10,000 hours. Mm-hmm. You want to call yourself a key grip? 10,000 hours. You want to call yourself a dolly grip? 10,000 hours. Some of these younger cats coming into the game, buying a grip truck right away and just considering themselves key grips, I'm sorry. In my eyes, you're not a key grip.
Right.
You have to put your time in.
And
you got to learn rigging. You have to learn dolly. You have to learn every aspect about this job before you even become the boss making the calls. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
How can you tell somebody to go do something when you yourself don't even know how to do that job?
Exactly. How many days on set do you think it would take to actually hit that with no OT?
Oh God.
Are we talking union days here?
Yeah.
5 day weeks?
I would say it's an average of 12 hours because you're going to have some days with overtime and some days are going to be a flat 10.
You're pretty much guaranteed 12s.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you get 10s unless you're doing a union 1 day, 2 day commercial. Then it's
or TV or.
So let's just say you work 200 days a year, which would be a lot for me. I don't work that much.
That'd be a lot for all of us.
Let's say 150.
Yeah, 150 days.
Yeah.
Which is great when you start thinking about that because everybody else works
312 or something.
Well, with weekends, right? So it's 365 minus 104.
Right.
So you work about 250 days if you have a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Right.
So in our world, even if you work a lot, that's 150 days. So you still have an extra 100 days off versus everybody else.
Which is another bonus about this industry.
And you're probably making good money. So that's 1,800 hours a year. So divided by 10,000.
About 10 years.
Yeah, it's about 8. Right?
Yeah, about 10 years.
So what's how many hours a year did we do?
1,800.
1,800. So what's 1,800 times 50?
Wow, like your whole career?
No, just I'm thinking of an hourly thing. 50 an hour is like a normal rate.
Oh, the rate? That's
Right.
90,000.
90,000. So theoretically, 90,000 before taxes.
Yep.
If you're working, 150 days out of the year. But yet again, those jobs, you're working DPs that, hey, I need this favor here and there. Sometimes jobs are overbid, sometimes jobs are underbid.
Yep.
It all balances out. But that's interesting to know that like I said, I worked I think 127 jobs one year and hit it and got into the lower level of the bottom tax bracket, and I got screwed on my taxes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to know.
Yeah, it's interesting in the commercial world. My year is pretty much evenly split 60-40 between 60% time card jobs and 40% invoice.
Right.
And
Stop doing 1099 jobs, everyone.
Please, for the love of God.
I can't because I'm no longer a guild member. So I got to take it where I get it. I got to get in where I fit
Well,
in.
of course, we all do, but
Yeah.
my God.
They're illegal, by the way.
Yeah.
And
But who's going to come get them?
well, when they get got, it's 10,000 per person. I have got to get my gender neutral pronouns down.
Oh, yeah. Someone's going to be coming through that
That's
door.
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, my last job before all this went down, it was a promo for, let's just say it's a larger basketball movie that might be coming out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. And
Let's just hope that Joe wasn't on it.
he wasn't.
Oh, thank God.
I would not work with Joe.
I would not either.
We're not going to say Joe's last name,
No,
but
we're
everybody
not.
knows
But everybody
which Joe we're
knows
talking
what
about.
Joe we're talking about.
And the stand-in for the main talent had like a little runny nose.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really have anything to do with this story, but my buddy Nick that I was telling you about, that Quit Guitar Center, he was PAing with me.
Yeah.
So I go, it's a 2-day shoot, 1-day pre-light, 1-day shoot, and I'll give this big speech about set equality and gender neutrality and how everybody, if they feel disrespected, they need to come to me and say something. About halfway into the shoot day, Nick says something off the side of his mouth, and I just launched the nukes at him in front of 150 background, like all the client from this studio for this movie about basketball that could be coming out soon. And I'm just like, hey, listen to me, you piece of shit. And I'm just screaming at him.
Like Rick and Morty style.
Well,
Yeah.
you got the South Park guy with the big glasses, the big Oakleys.
Yeah.
The principal, PC principal.
Yeah, PC principal.
And then I'm like, I realize everybody's looking at me. I'm like, I gotta cool it. And then I walk away. And the producer comes up, and throws his arm around me. He's like, "Are you okay, dude?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's just like that guy's like a brother to me. I can talk to him however I want to." He's like, "Yeah, but those are my clients. You can't talk
Right.
like that in front of them." So that kind of reverts back to the whole like, you never know who's listening on set.
Well, also, like kind of what Nick brought up earlier is, you can be good at your craft. You can be the best grip on this earth. But if you don't have that set etiquette or that personality that everybody wants, you're not going to get hired. If you're just rolling around set like
You're
a
not
complete
going to get the
ass.
job done.
Yeah, you're not going to. Well, you're not fulfilling the job 100% because it's part personality and it's part knowledge. So that was a side tangent, but
Yeah. What do you guys, when you were coming up, when you were very early in your grip careers, what's the most embarrassing thing that you could remember now that's like, oh, duh. I mean, every grip knows that, but
I
like,
mean, mine was just a couple months ago.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still coming up, as you'd say.
Yeah, you still learning?
Oh, you're funny.
Oh, I didn't know what a speed clip was, and I was working with a very prestigious key grip that I actually really wanted to go work for that company because I'd heard a lot about them, and I was like, man, I think I would fit in there, and I would also love to say, hey, I work for these guys. And then it was just me and him on this stupid music video in a stupid house, and we had to build a projection screen.
Okay.
So on the day, had to take a 20 by bleached muzz and build an 18-foot frame and wrap it. And I was like, well, how are we going to tie this to that? So he's like, oh, use speed clips. I'm like, what's a speed clip?
And he's like, what are you doing here?
And he's like, go look in the truck for this. He explained it, and I went and got him, and we figured it out. But I just had no clue. I never used one before.
Right.
Probably like 3-4 years. I'd probably who knows. And there's a lot of little specialty things that I've definitely learned, and that's what you need to do is you need to work with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Because then you see who's got what in their trucks, and you're like, I didn't even know this existed.
Exactly.
But also,
Something that
everybody
is
also.
super simple, like a stupid piece of plastic that you just.
But
it's
also
probably called
everybody-
5 different things.
Yeah,
right?
that's the problem. It's like, one key grip will call, coming up. Because, again, Nick and I are now to a point where
I started in 2012.
I
That's
started
when
in
I started getting
2014.
Paid work.
So,
So
I guess, we are key grips.
that's right.
Yep.
Yep,
That's right.
key grip now.
That's right. I got
But-
2 years on this guy. That's all right.
And you're younger. That's okay.
It's not a contest.
Not a contest.
It's a race, but it's not a
It's
contest.
a race, but it's not a contest. It's a big old rat race.
That's
Depends
right.
on what department you're in. Then.
every key grip calls something different. So you could be working for one key grip versus the other, and one guy would call it a butt plug, one guy would call it a and you got to adapt to that. You got to figure out.
And most of it's not PC, right? Most of it's
no.
Yeah.
There's a few things that they tell us not to tell it anymore, and you're like, whoa, you're messing with history here.
Yeah.
And I'm not changing a word. Not that it's being offensive. I'm not saying, hey, you're a butt plug, even though he's being a butt plug. But it's like,
that's just what it's called. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know where it came from, but
this, it's like this stuff's old. Like this C-stand. Are you offended by the word C-stand?
Mm-mm.
So why are you offended by like a butt plug?
Right. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure most C-stands are older than us, by the way.
Yeah.
Just got to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I even bet that's C-stand right there.
That one's pretty new.
That one's pretty new.
That's been refurbished.
This one's photo because it's painted black.
Yeah.
What's the one thing on the truck that has the most names? Like one piece of gear that's like, man, you could call this 50 different things.
Apple boxes have a bunch of different names for them.
Yeah.
Carlini's, different kind of clamps.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people get confused when you're talking about like which combination you need, whether that's like a clamp to a wall, to a grid, to a pipe, or you just need something to drill in, or
I'd say the most is clamp material on a grip truck. It's called different.
I guess
things.
specialty rigging stuff,
Right.
especially when it comes to 5/8 kits, rods, little tiny adapter pieces that you're doing car rigging and just doing math. It's really annoying.
Grips doing math.
Math.
Give me like 4 18s and a 25, maybe.
Speaking of math, this doesn't have anything to do with math. What's the hierarchy from? So the department head has a key grip.
Yep.
Right, and then the next guy down is the
Best boy grip.
best boy grip, and then the only other couple of names I know there would be the dolly grip. But is there a ranking for that?
Yeah, I'd say
You have a pay rate.
Yeah.
Is your difference. You have your key rate, you have your best rate, and then usually your best boy rate and your dolly grips rate or your special grips rate is
the same.
relatively the same. It's $25-50 difference at that.
Sometimes.
And then you have
Per day, not per hour.
Correct.
Right.
But also you have your key rigger.
Mm-hmm.
I would say they're different. I mean, they're same
that's
department.
a different crew.
It's a different crew.
Right. More of a
you're not
lateral kind of thing.
Right. You got your key rigger, and then same thing.
Well, your rigging crew will sometimes make less. One, because they're working less hours, and it's usually a union job by the time you're talking a rigging crew. 'Cause
Right.
2-day commercial, you don't get the luxury to send another group of 5-6 guys in there to go and set up all this stuff.
Right.
You might get a pre-rigged day.
Right.
But you might get a half day that they're going to try and snake some shots in on.
Well, we all might get our own day when we go back to work. It might be grippin' electric day, and then art day, and then no more than 15 people on set at one time.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I mean that's
that's just
thing I was thinking about.
It's just going to slow everything down. It has to. There's no coming back to this like that.
Yeah.
No.
The one-day shoots are gone.
Yeah.
Unless it's a 2-hour interview.
Right.
Even then, that's going to be a 14-hour day.
Yep.
Where it should have
We're
been
going to be
8.
going in earlier.
Which
The days of talent
not mad at it.
availability, those things where like, oh, this person is only available for an hour.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to get another talent because they're just going to have to be more flexible with our needs of being able to go in and. If it is a 50,000 square foot stage, what's to say that like you guys can't be rigging something in the corner while the art department's building on the opposite far corner?
Right,
There's a lot to figure out.
But how much, let me ask you this, in your experience, how often have you been on set when you have been in a building that size and you do have people bouncing back and forth, and how just, fucked is it? It's just mayhem. Even though you have the space, even though you have the manpower, we did a job in Santa Clarita that he was keying and I was besting. We had 7 sets across like 5 different stages and one out in the parking lot with like 200 feet of track. And I was like, production, I need a golf cart to like run around.
Just
and
go
just
from
get
one
place
point
this,
to
drop
yeah.
gear off.
Right.
I have things to do. And they wouldn't provide it, so I just drove my personal truck around.
Yeah.
And it's like you just
You have to at that point. I mean,
that day was slow enough as it was. That day we had so much to do and we still did it within probably 14, 16 hours. But now you want to talk about, okay, now, sorry, you guys are only allowed in here from this amount of time. Well, cool, it's going to take us 2 hours longer than that to do it.
I mean, our 399 brothers are probably going to cringe at this, but how many times have we used our personal vehicle just to do that task.
I pulled a techno crane with my Jeep.
Yeah.
50-foot movie bird.
We've pushed
up
a
hill
movie
and
car with
Yeah.
your Jeep. I mean, whatever it takes to get the shot done or to get the equipment there, that's what grips do. Like, we don't sit there and try to think about hierarchy. If our DP goes, hey, man, we need that, we're going to get it to him
It's
no
just
matter
another
what.
tool.
Yeah.
And that's why grips like to park on set. Is because we have pickup trucks that we need a pickup truck, put a back camera in it. Or
Oh, dude,
we have to move all this stuff onto
the
the
truck
beach.
sitting outside,
You know,
in our eyes, is legendary because it has done so many things on set that, I mean,
that truck's lived a pretty big life. It's been in a few music videos now.
Oh, that's right.
It's been driving down the beach in San Diego.
yeah.
Chasing other Broncos, shooting car to car. It's been out in the desert.
Yeah.
Melody
seen
Ranch,
big rigs
Blue,
out of the
Blue
back of
Sky.
it.
Well, that's a good segue to the most recent feature of that truck. And it's in the most recent Florida Georgia Line video. And you guys are also in that video as
Yeah.
well, right? What's the name of that track?
I love my country.
I love my country.
And when you guys, you want to, I don't want to assume that I know a lot about this story because I've been chatting with you guys all day, but
Yeah.
tell me about that. Like, how did that all come about?
Well, Dylan Schneider, he's a DP, and Mikey G, he's also a DP. They're just like, hey, man, do you want to go camping up in Palmdale, do the little off-road trip?
Mm-hmm.
We got some content we need to shoot for a country music video. And I was like, yeah, get me out of the house. I mean, of course, we did our due diligence with social distancing, and we were safe about it. But we just did what we always do. We just go on a little mini off-road trip for a day, and they were shooting it with a camera and iPhone the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And a week later, they were sending out links of Florida Georgia Line, and
Yeah.
we're all in it. And I was like, this is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're going to play a clip of it right. And that was a clip of, what's the name of that music video? Love My Country by Florida Georgia Line. YouTube, don't take it down. My videos aren't monetized anyway, so I can
I
leave it
mean,
up.
we didn't sign an NDA on it, so
Ooh,
just throwing.
there you go.
Don't take it. Don't take it down.
I could
YouTube.
file a dispute,
No.
technically claiming that you own the intellectual property.
Exactly.
mean,
So there you go. That's why I said
if
it,
you
because
wanna
I was
be our
like,
lawyer,
don't throw it down.
I'm looking.
Well, BMG has an attorney. So
Yeah, we wouldn't win that.
No.
No.
They have a couple more Florida Georgia bucks than we do.
Yeah.
We were just talking
be
on the
nice.
break though about other stuff that we've been in and the opportunities that we get. I think the most famous story that gets there's always those folklore stories about actors not being able to pull something off, so a crew member has to jump in.
Right.
And I think my favorite one is a Budweiser commercial about 10 years ago, maybe. Who knows if this even really happened, but it's just a big wide open shot.
Yeah.
And a big tractor trailer is supposed to pull up and stop, and the guy's supposed to get out and open the Budweiser thing, and the actor can't drive a
Big rig.
big rig.
Yeah.
So they say it's either the key grip or it makes more sense to me that Transpo would have done it.
Yeah.
But
Pit boss or something.
they throw the key grip in there and
Yeah.
put a Budweiser shirt on him and
All the time.
pulls the truck up.
Yep.
Yep. And
I
there's
mean, Key Grip probably had Budweiser on the truck, so they're like, guy's already signed for the job.
This guy's already signed up.
there you go.
Are you drunk enough to drive this truck? And he's like, you know it.
Interestingly enough, all Budweiser jobs are non-union.
Really?
There's a lot of big companies out there that are strictly non-union.
Yeah.
I've even run into that because I'm not union and he's union.
Yeah.
And so you run into jobs where they're like, can't hire union people. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you can't tell me that.
Yeah, because that's technically against the law too.
Yeah,
If
I get
I-
that. That's the first question I get on a
Yeah.
non-union shoot
You
from
can't
the
ask.
producer. Can you give me a list of non-union crew that you really
can't,
like?
You can't ask that.
Yeah, well, I get it.
You
I'd
know.
probably say 80% of my jobs. That's the
Yeah.
first thing the producer
Right.
asked me.
No, they're going to ask the question, but you
Yeah.
just, if they want to start on that game, then you just have to play your politics. And you're like, cool. This guy, Mr. Shambour over here, that's his name on the call sheet.
That's right.
Guy named
Well-
Hootie Who on the call sheet. They don't know his name.
Well, I tell the producers all the time, if you don't want to get flipped, hire union.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to gain.
Right.
If you hire an all non-union, and in every
They
show that
have-
I've ever been on that's ever been flipped, it's
Yes.
guys that want to get in.
Yep.
It's not guys that are already in.
Absolutely.
Pay the rate, pay
100%.
the quote, and that pay everybody fair.
Yep.
And no one's calling in anything.
Have good crafty.
Because no one cares.
Well, those days
No,
are over.
yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
Well, not with me on set. I'm just going to bring a smoker.
Yeah.
It's going to bring a big trailer. Be like, oh, lunch. Yeah, sorry, other departments.
There you go.
But that's a good point. It's like we're not here because, and I might get criticized for this, but, and of course I'm definitely 80. Like that is my, that's my home. But
That's the union number for the grips.
yeah, sorry, that local 80. But also, it's like sometimes you're trying to appease your DP. You're just happy to be there. Even though you're union, doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to call every single thing out. Like if it's benefiting you and it's the right job and it makes you happy, like of course you want to be there.
Yep.
Right? So exactly what you're saying. Just because, you're union doesn't mean that we don't want to be there. And
You
we're
should
gonna
be hiring
flip
union
this.
people too.
You should,
Union
because we're
people
more
are going through
experienced.
safety classes. You have people that
Yeah.
actually are interested and put time and effort into their career.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to go union for 5 years, and I've gotten to 27 days every year.
Mm-hmm.
And contract services pushes me to 80 pushes me to this. And it's just a big runaround.
Right, and it's the requirement is 30 union days a year.
30
for you.
days, yeah.
It took me
non-union.
4 years just for the same roundabout that Nick's
Yeah.
going through right now. Nick's probably had it 3 times now,
Yeah.
and because of just
I just get the runaround.
political aspect of it.
For us, if you want to join the union, you normally join as a second AD first, but in order to do that, you need 600 PA days.
Yeah.
But are you talking the union or the guild?
The guild,
Okay.
the Directors Guild. I call it a union, but I'm
Yeah.
inaccurate all the time.
Still want to get you, shot at.
Yeah. Good luck
Shots
finding
fired.
anyone that ever works at the DGA ever. And then if you want to forego that, you can start as a first AD with 400 days and 120 prep days, so 520 days. They have to be on a time card.
Plus your initiation fee. Oh my god.
It's based off the number of days of your first shoot.
Yeah.
So there's some guys that have paid $15,000 to get in. There's some guys that have paid $2,000 to get in.
Now,
Yeah.
is there a yearly? So we have 365 days to start. So the moment I get that first day and it's on the local 80 books, I have an entire year to get 30 days, and then those days will drop off. Do you have the same in your guys's?
No, it can take you as long as it wants to take you.
My first year that I actually tried to go for it, I got on a feature. It was like 42 days. It flipped the second day. And I thought I was in the clear. I was like, heck yeah, right place, right time.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up not being able to pay their dues on the production side, and they never put it to print. They never put it to film, and so I lost all those days. And it was just like that for 4 years. It was like this happened, this happened, this happened. It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult.
You can't get in the club till you're already in the club.
Yeah.
Well, then there's guys that come in that move out of here from out of state, and they're here for a month. They hop in with the right guys, and they're
Right.
in, and they're in within their first year.
But that's why Nick and I are we're kind of choosy and kind of in a way cliquey that way. Like we had to do it, you got to do it too. Like you're not gonna get a full ride,
Yeah.
Well, that's where people, I think, get bad taste in the mouth for union
Yeah.
in many different ways. But like I said, I've been working with people that I trained. Not saying that I'm some big trainer and a huge grip or anything. It's just I know the right way to do most things mainly, and those guys are in, and they're union dolly grips now. There's union these guys now, and they are just they boast it up and they think they're all this hotness when you're like, dude, I will. Like
I saw you
haven't
on your
built
first day.
I'm like, you haven't built a fly swatter.
Yeah.
You've never once in your life actually done a serious rigging day.
And that brings me back to exactly what I said earlier. It's like you got to put your time in. If you want to be a key grip, you got to put your time in. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're a key grip who's never built a fly swatter, how are you going to call yourself a key grip?
So for those at home who didn't know what a grip was when they started watching this episode or listening to this episode, we should tell them what a fly swatter is because it sounds like something pretty easy. Like, oh, I'm just going to get a stick and like make something I can swat flies with.
I'll let Nick explain this one.
So you take a piece of heavy machinery, like a crane lift, and then you build either a bounce or a piece of diffusion in the size of anywhere from a 12 by 12 to a 20 by 20 frame. And you support it all off the basket. So if you have to essentially have a light or a bounce or something to control the sunlight, way stretched over your talent, but your camera has to be able to move freely underneath it or not see your stands, or you don't have the ability to rig something in the sky. It's just basically a very dangerous way to put a lot of heavy weight over people. They are the probably dangerous things that we ever have to rig, and people don't take it that way.
It's typically an outside thing, though, right?
Yeah.
We've done them in stages. I've done them in the abandoned Hawthorne Mall. I've done them.
That place is a death trap.
Yeah.
I went on a scout.
It's the coolest place in the world, but it's a death trap.
On a scout, a PA walked into where the escalators go down on the first floor.
Oh,
Just, I mean, there's no lights
it's
in
an
there.
open hole, yeah.
Yeah, it's an open hole. It's probably about 10, 15 feet, and he fell and split his face and had to get emergency ambulance. And this is a scout.
Yeah.
So,
I did a bunch of Nike stuff in there. They
place.
wanted to do like indoor soccer tournaments and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Drone racing.
they wanted to do some stuff up on the upper deck, and there's no railing up there. It's like, guys, the crew can go up there, but I'm not putting any talent
Right.
up there.
But exactly what Nick was talking about is like, again, we're in charge of the safety and well-being of the crew. We have 2 500-pounds above talent. Like, you got to make sure that you're building that fly swatter correctly.
Yep.
You got to make sure it's safe. If there's 50-mile-per-hour winds and above, you're not flying that thing.
Yep.
You get a non-union grip with his own truck. It says, "Oh, I'm a Key Grip," who's never built a fly swatter before. There's a big problem right there.
Yeah. Well, he's probably not going to suggest to build one.
Well, no, if the DP's
do.
like, I want a fly swatter,
Yeah,
they
we
got to
need
do
this.
it,
Oh, yeah?
And then that's where you came in. It's like, don't be afraid to hire union grips on your non-union shoots, because we're going to be there to support you. The whole crew and production and the DP and the director, we're going to try to accomplish that shot safely and beautifully. We're there to help you.
Yeah. Have you ever been forced to decide to choose safety over your relationship with someone that you work with?
Yes.
Yes,
Multiple
absolutely.
times over and
Yeah.
over.
Yep.
I've
I've-
lost work because of it.
Me too.
Yep.
I've questioned keys.
Yeah.
I've questioned ADs.
Yeah.
I've questioned DPs. I had one DP tell me, she goes, "Oh, well, my Key Grip said we could put a fly swatter over here," and I pulled up the OSHA thing. The parking lot was surrounded in telephone wires. Every single corner had a telephone pole on it, and wires all around. She's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put it over here and arm it over the building." And it's like, first of all, there's no way you're gonna get it underneath those cables and over that building. Just not gonna happen. And then second of all, you have to be 200 feet from that power line. And then, "Oh no, my Key Grip said this," and I'm like, "Well, your Key Grip's not here today.
Right.
I'm here today. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see a death.
I'm not going to kill somebody."
Nope.
The first time I lost Nike as a client, we were shooting downtown at night with children, another soccer thing. And we were shooting we built a soccer field on the top of a parking deck. And the photographer was like, "Oh, those train tracks down there look awesome.
Nope.
I want to
Sarah.
shoot from up here. I want them walking down the train tracks from across the street." And I was like, "There's no way you're going to do that. We can put them on the sidewalk next to the train tracks."
No.
"Oh, the train tracks look cooler." "I'm sure they do.
This has already
But
happened.
the train's not running right now." I was like, you don't have the train schedule.
You don't
Yeah.
have
The
authority
producer
to
was
shut
like-
down those trains.
"No, just take the talent down to the sidewalk and let's just see what it looks like from the frame." So I get like 6 or 7 8-year-olds down there, and about 2 blocks away, this cargo van starts doing donuts in the center of the intersection and starts popping shots
Yeah.
up in the air.
Great.
Yeah.
And the producer on the walkie is like, so in that scenario, from the parking deck, there was a row of like metro tracks, and then we're across those. I took them safely through the intersection, and I went over, and like kind of this. So this is parking deck,
Yeah.
and this is camera. So I had to cross them this way, and this way to get. And so there's train tracks here and train tracks here. The producer's like, "Come straight back to the parking lot." I'm like, "No, I can't. Like, I'm going to get them home safely. I'm going to put me between them and the gunfire, but I'm going to, So I cross them back through the lights. The shooter's over here, and he had already peeled off. He's gone. But in the time that I got them back safely, I got instantly fired when I got back up here because I wouldn't travel the
And that's
the
fine.
minors. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get fired for that, by all means,
I'm
fire
happy
me.
to. Take
Fine.
it.
I'm happy.
Here's my
Here-
walkie.
Here you go.
There you go.
I'm
See
out.
ya. Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for my short day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get to go home, see my family. Thanks.
Yeah. And then the second time was we're in the ACS warehouse, which is the most famous warehouse in downtown. And they want this kid to like climb up this ladder and just start walking across
The beams.
the beams. No, I had a 1-inch
course.
crash mat because
Yeah.
on the Scout they talked about him like kind of hanging from this one pole and like falling like 4 inches. I was like, all right, I want a 2-foot crash pad
Yeah.
They're like, okay, they got me the little 2-inch thick one.
Piece of memory foam on
Yeah.
someone's queen mattress at home.
So I go to the bathroom. I come back. This kid's 20 feet in the air walking across the thing. And I'm like, you need to come down right now. And the Nike client's like, we don't have the shot yet. And I was like,
Tough.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
And then I get a call 2 weeks later. Hey, there's another Nike job coming up. I'm like, sweet. And they have a lead AD on that. And he's like, you're not on it.
But the thing is, then you have to ask them. The sad part is you have to ask them a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would think a kid crossing an I-beam 20 feet up would be a bad idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in their brain, they're trying to get the shot. But the sad part is you have to, and I've had this happen with.
They don't know what the shot takes to get, though.
Well,
they
not
just
only-
want the shot.
Right, but
They don't
you
know
have
what
to,
it takes.
right. So you have to ask a question, like, what do you think the problem's going to be when that kid falls and breaks his head or kills himself? What do you think that's going to, how's that going to look on you right
On your
now?
brand. They're
On
not
your
gonna sue me.
brand,
Yeah.
or
Your
you, as your position as being a client here today, you technically are making the calls.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to look on you?
Yeah.
And I've had to ask that to key grips before that I've worked under, Bring it to them as a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you always, in my experience, you always come with a problem and a solution.
Yeah.
You say, hey, AD, we have this safety problem. This guy is whatever, and drunk, stoned, all out of his mind. He's dropping shit. We need to get him out of here. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 times out of 10, they're like, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Crisis averted. Got to deal with the next crisis.
Yep.
Yep.
And then that way, as a grip, you get what you want. And you just, like I said, you kind of have to implement that into.
Right.
You have to implement their answer into your mind so that you think it's your idea. And then-
Exactly.
But the bummer is like you come to them because with general concern about anything, whether it's a good idea or we should be doing it this way or whatever. But the bummer is you got to, like, exactly what Nick said. You got to put it in their brain like it was their idea. It's like, no, you hired me for this job for a reason.
Exactly.
So if I come to you with a solution or a problem or whatever it be as a key grip, just take my advice about it. Take my first word that it's it's going to hold up the first time. I shouldn't have to explain myself.
Yeah. There's two things. I've had a couple of situations where it's not that the key grip was incorrect. It was that he wanted to provide a solution for the team to get the shot.
Right.
And it was on the fly. We didn't plan it out on the scout. We didn't talk about it in the pre-pro. We didn't do any of that stuff. So I love problem solvers, right? And in my safety meetings, I always say, hey, guys, best idea wins. There's no ego here. Between the 50 of us, there's 1,000 set days. You've all done shit differently. Let's just do the thing, the most efficient and safe way to go home. But inevitably, something will come up.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we want to do this. And either a key grip or stunt rigger or somebody will say, it's possible. We can do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And if the back of my brain goes, I don't feel good about it,
Yeah.
I'll still shut it down.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm looking directly into the face of the director, and I know I'm never going to see him again.
But you know what? That's your job. That's why you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at, you're there to implement the time schedule, but also the safety of everybody on set as a first AD.
Yeah, it's we call it an only fail position.
Yeah.
Because you're only going to work with people until you don't get one of the shots on the board or something goes wrong, whether it's your fault or not.
And that's sad that it's disposable like that. Because
Totally.
at the end of the day, you were there just to simply make sure an accident does not happen.
Well, you're
on
just
set.
there. How ironic is it, though, that you get hired and we get paid good money to do our jobs?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But every one of us says, me and you were talking over there, oh, fuck, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I could do this job better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every department gets
Oh,
that.
dude.
Almost
yeah.
every professional.
So many times.
10, 15, 20 years tops.
But that goes back to the young kid coming in, just thinking that that this is just owed to him. Like he did it once or twice.
It comes in with experience. It's
Yeah.
like you've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. We've all seen a lot of people make
Yeah.
mistakes.
We have.
We
We
of
all
course
have.
We've all made mistakes.
Yeah.
That's how we learned, unfortunately. And it just seems kind of ironic that we get paid so well and we are held in such high standards by so many people.
Mm-hmm.
But yet again, you make a simple decision, a simple safety call. Get that kid off the I-beam. Cross the street over here.
Boom, you're
And
done.
It's just like, how ironic is that? That's-
Yeah.
But it's You can. I think there's some type of like cinematic blindness that happens sometime when you get wrapped up in your creativity. I've seen it on both sides. Like when I directed for a few years, and I could tell that I wasn't wearing my AD hat when I was on set as a director. I was like, man, I really got to shoot this and I got to shoot that, and I was blowing time on things that didn't need it. And like if I had just directed as an AD for the day, it would have been more efficient. And I was looking at stuff like, oh, what else can I get? I need more B-roll. I need to do this. Right. It's just like this thing that overtakes you when you've been waiting for that opportunity your whole life.
Well, it's time that's against you.
Yeah, you're under the knife.
You're under the knife.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I've even had to sit producers down with this when they're like, oh, we don't have an extra $500 to get you this guy that you need for these 2 days. Or whatever. We don't have the budget for that. And I go, okay, so what's your budget? Let's say your budget is X amount. So if we break that down to a minute, and let's break that down to seconds, it costs you, just for me to rig this car, it's going to take me 30 minutes. That's going to cost you in dollars $5,000. So if I can do that in 20 minutes, or I can do that in 15 minutes, and I'm going to cost you another $1,000, it's going to save you $15,000 here.
Right. You have to put that thought again. You have to put that thought in their brain.
But it's something that just they might not think about because they're blind.
Right.
That's one thing I run into all the time on scouts. Everybody wants to just burn through it in like an hour. We're going to shoot here, we're going to shoot here, we're going to shoot here. Make your list, send it to me.
Never works.
I want to do like a 4-hour scout. Even though I have 6 hours of scheduling to do after that. Like it's not in my best interest for that one day of time.
And that's appropriate.
But like I want to go, hey, all right, we're doing car shots, but you want to ping pong back and forth inside. Can we have a second camera body and another 2 guys to go rig the car while we're shooting inside? And they're like, we can't afford another second body. Do you want the other 75 crew members to do nothing while we take our A cam and strap it to the picture car?
Right.
And then they're like, do we have an exterior car and an interior car? Like, and you start getting into these questions that involve money, and especially with producers that haven't been in the game for a long time, they'll step over $1 to pick up a dime.
Yeah.
And I'd rather take the time we're all on a full day rate.
Right.
And I know that it's super awesome to scout for 2 hours and then go play golf or do whatever you want or go fishing. But like, we could potentially save ourselves on the shoot day. That's already going to be 12 hours. Maybe it doesn't have to be 17 hours if we burn another hour on the scout day.
Well, not only that, but like you're on the scout and it's an hour-long scout, and everybody at the end is like, okay, just email me, just give me a phone call and let's figure this out later. It's like, no, let's figure it out now.
Right. Being paid to be here.
Like, we're getting paid to be here for 12 hours. Like, if it's a 4-hour scout, oh, well, let's do it. Let's do it right the first time.
If you give me 5 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend 4 hours sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a great one.
I think that's the Abraham Lincoln quote.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
We can look it up.
But that's probably one of
if
my
only
favorite
there
things.
was this little black box.
If only we had some sort of technology.
Yeah. So you guys have been on set since 2012.
I started getting paid for doing grip work and electric work 2012.
So that was already digital.
Yeah, DSLRs were shooting movies on the 5D Mark II.
Right. Red 1 was still around.
Red was just, they love that camera.
Oh man,
people still do.
Raise a hand on the people at home. How many actually really love the Red 1 still?
Yeah. If you had told me back then that down the road I'd be able to get one for $1,000 refurbished.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like, I can't wait to own one of those that no one's gonna want.
Yeah, right.
Takes you 5 minutes to boot up.
Or a lawn body.
Yeah. I can't believe how small they've made them now.
Yeah.
But so you guys don't remember the film days with the film in the camera.
I mean, we've shot plenty of film.
We've worked on many film shoots where they actually have the RE whatever bodies. I don't know, camera bodies.
435.
Got the loader.
Yep.
Yeah, where we actually shoot film and you actually have to have your ratios right. You can't just look at a monitor and be like, oh, you know what? I don't like that over there. It's like you actually have to know what you're doing when it comes to lighting, especially
absolutely.
for film.
A lot of DPs still love to shoot in film.
I'm glad that you said that because we covered a lot about what you guys do as far as like strapping cameras to stuff, playing with the big toys and cranes, making it safe. But one of the other, I'd say a big portion of the meat of your sandwich is shaping the light for the director of photography after he's requested the electricians to place a light source. It's then your job to slow it down, speed it up, cut it. I'm using all the grip words that I know right now. So here's something that I think I know the answer to this, but The electricians have their own stands, right? You're not providing the stands for the light sources,
No.
right?
Not supposed to.
But if the light source is to be mounted in the grid, they're going to rig that light to your pipe.
Correct.
So it's all.
It's a
like I said,
dance,
you're-
right?
Yeah, it's a dance. You're going into this thing. It's like if you have a specific light that has to just go on a pipe hanger, a simple light that we all need, Sky Panel S360 or the S60, right?
Most popular light on set now.
Yeah, everybody's got one. Everybody's got two in the back of their Toyota Prius right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we could provide you the clamps because sometimes, for budget costs, electrics won't put their clamps on there because they know, the grips truck's going to come with a 5-ton and they're going to have a couple of extra clamps over.
Right.
So use some of those. They're in charge of putting, let's say, like in this grid, you'd have to put up the lights, right? And then we have to build a box around it.
Right.
So we just have to.
Well, and it depends on union too. If it's a non-union or union gig, if it's a union gig, it's cut and dry what you have to do
Yes.
versus
Not my
what they have.
department,
Not
I'm
my
gonna go
department, not my problem.
Yep.
Right.
But
Figure it out.
in a lot of non-union world, like professional non-union worlds, sometimes you help each other out. Like
Sure.
sometimes you're like, hey man, I gotta throw this 20 by or fly swatter.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just give you guys the points real quick? If it's 3 lights that they're throwing up in the grid, and most of the time they have a C wrench on them and they can fully handle that job. It's trustworthy. They know what they're doing.
Right.
But
Do you guys find that you like pairing up with certain gaffers?
absolutely,
Yes, there's certain electricians. Jeffrey, if you watch this, the best boy ever I've worked with.
Mm-hmm. What's his last name? Give him a shout out.
I don't know his last name.
Red.
I just know it's Jeffrey.
The Jeff. The Jeffrey.
Red.
He knows who he is.
Yeah.
Red's lighting. He's an incredible.
Kyle
gaffer.
Bryson. I mean,
Um,
dude, the list goes on. There's definitely
You work with people that are really good at what they do, and they're happy about being there, and that's where I like to see people. Like I don't want to work with the guy that is 36 years old and pissed off and crusty all day and
Right.
sleeping in the truck, drinking beers all day, and I have to pick up his slack, and I'm not getting paid for it, and he's over there one getting stoned, and I'm like, why is this guy even here?
well, it's just what we were talking about earlier too. It's like we're on set with these people longer
you're-
than we are
you're
with our
at
family.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Like 14 hours, 12, 16.
Yeah.
You have to be happy with who you're working with.
Yep.
Totally.
It's not like the Joe days.
The Joe.
The Joe. Oh, the Joe.
Get your big old cup of Joe.
One of my best friends who has since gone on to own an advertising company used to office PA for the Joe.
Yeah.
And I wish I would. I just don't want to put his name out there because
I don't either.
I would love to tell
Yeah.
stories about
Oh.
how things used to be.
I walked off his set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Let's
unacceptable.
talk about walking off set. Have you ever walked off a set with an AD?
I have been asked to leave.
No, have you? So you've never personally made the decision to say, you know what, I'm done here. I'm going home.
I have not. I have said in certain situations, if you decide to shoot this shot against my safety recommendations, I can't be on the clock.
Right.
And I've clocked out and left set and been invited back.
I have a great story. We had this AD. We were shooting at a school, and it was like a kid music video. It was like some teen pop stars or something. So we probably have 60 background kids in this hallway, and they want big lights and big diffusions at the end of the hallway, which basically closes off the hallway for the most part. Like, yes, you could get through it, but you have a blinding light in front of you that's just, you don't, that's not your first instinct if a fire alarm goes off, is to run into a giant light source.
Right.
And so the AD came up to us, the grip department, and says, hey, we need some tape. And I was like, sure, here you go, here's some tape. And then he had his PAs take trash bags and tape over all of the fire extinguishers, or smoke detectors. Right?
Okay, for the diffusion?
No, they had like
'Cause of the heat,
smoke machines.
The
in
heat.
there.
Oh, yeah.
They had foggers and stuff. In there.
Oh,
They would
right, yeah,
smoke up
air
the
diffusion.
hallway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So, but they would set the smoke alarms off. So they're like, oh, we don't want to alert the fire department and have these smoke alarms go off. So he had them all covered. Didn't work because it's probably seeped into other rooms. Anyway, the fire alarm got shut off twice. And at that point, the fire department was like, no, we're coming. Like, we're coming there. There's obviously something wrong. We are showing up.
Yep.
The AD told everybody, rip all of the plastic off of the smoke detectors, and then left. Just walked off, gone.
Yeah.
Later, bye.
Wow.
Because he knew that in covering smoke detectors, like tampering with smoke detectors, is a federal offense.
Yep.
And there's 35 in a hallway,
Right.
and he was the one who had to answer for that.
I've covered smoke detectors in brand new schools that have laser air diffusion detectors, so they can see the smoke before they can smell it.
Yeah.
But that was covered on the Scout. We had everything was done right. They were like,
Right.
you know what? If
No,
somebody
this
smokes
was-
a cigarette at the gas station down the street, this thing goes off.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had it powered down. We had somebody from the fire service with us, but
Right.
I've never been like, yeah, I got to go.
Yeah, we didn't have a fire marshal on set.
Mhm.
It was that low budget music video. I call them no budget music videos because
Yeah.
like you don't even have a fire. You have a bunch of people inside a building. You're closing off entrances and exits. You're putting up big lights.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
No, I've more often than I care to think about now in the middle of all this shit, put the law down and been like, I can't be here for that. That's not a thing that I can do.
I've never
I think
personally.
I've heard you say that before. Actually, where you're like, I'm gonna have to go.
By the way, for everybody who's watching, we all have worked together.
Oh yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was implied.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people might not know.
That's true.
We
I
definitely
assume a lot because I'm just in here all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, we've definitely all done. We've worked together a number of times.
Yeah,
Last time I worked with you was on a golf course. That
yes.
was fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
With Hillbilly.
yeah. We
Yeah.
were just driving balls
Yes, we were on lunch.
at lunch.
Yeah.
So in closing, what it would be one thing that you guys wish everybody knew about being a grip?
We work 12 to 20 hours a day. We still have to load a truck at the end of the day 9 times out of 10. We work really hard for it, and we don't do it for the appreciation. We don't do it for half the time we don't do it for the video because we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We do it for the challenge. If you think gripping sounds fun, and you probably grew up playing like Connects and Legos and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And we've had guys where they come in from a 6 to 8 hour day job for a normal job for them, and they're beat at lunch, and you're like, you better rethink what
You
you're doing,
better
bud.
saddle up, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you wish the rest of the crew had a better understanding of the grip world on?
I think, like what I mentioned at the very top of this conversation is, and I'm not degrading any other department.
Mhm.
It's just most departments have a certain task with layers that they have to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, your grips have to have their hands in everything. Every department.
Right.
We have to do something for every department. Just remember that. Respect us. We're not just these little grungy assholes running around the set. Like,
Yeah.
we're there to help you, but also treat us right.
What
Yeah.
I would say that I want every department to know in production is do not piss off grips.
Yeah,
The
don't.
last
don't
thing you want on set is
last
a pissed off grip.
thing.
It's just gonna make your day so much slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're all a team here. Yes, we're all different departments. We all have different jobs.
Yeah.
But we are all working towards a common goal. Let's work together.
Right.
Let's get this done safely. Let's go home to our families. Let's go to bed. Get up, do it again the next day.
Yeah. My thing would be when people assume that something falls into your department without asking. And
Yeah.
the first closest example I can say is always pipe and drape with the art department.
Yeah.
I'm not here to shit on the art department,
Yeah, right.
but even it goes back to the Scout conversation. It's like,
Exactly.
we're going to hang a pipe and drape. And I look at the production designer and I go, do you have any riggers on your team?
Yep.
What? Why would I do that? Isn't there a grip here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
don't-
Are you going to look the key grip in the face and ask him to hang this for you, or am I going to do that?
Well, we're hanging 15 lights and our own green screen and all these things.
Yeah. It's like
But
when
it happens all the time.
it's lunchtime, I don't get to call Grace. I have to ask you permission for Grace to finish the shot.
Right.
It's the same thing. When Art needs something hung from you guys, 99 times out of 100, it's an assumption that you guys are going to help him out, and that's your job to do that.
Right.
And that's the one that boils my blood. And I'm just like, guys, let's just ask each other. Let's communicate. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
If you need help on it, and that's actually probably it's probably the number one thing I want to tell any grip out there, whether you've been doing this for a month, 5 years, 10 years. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to rig something, don't do it.
Right.
If you're a
Period.
PA,
Period. No, it
And-
doesn't matter what department you're in. If you have we have to put a light up here. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to put an overhead frame up. You don't know how to tie a knot properly. Don't do it. Speak up. Say,
Yeah.
hey, go up to your key grip. Go up to whoever who does know what to do. Call somebody. Call somebody that you grew up with
Yeah.
and say, hey, I'm in a little bit of a bind right now. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
You
my
shouldn't be
big
doing it.
my biggest thing is like, and again, I'm not shitting on PAs or anything, but like when they think that they're trying to help out and they
Right.
try to like move a C stand or something, don't do it.
Right.
Just let us, union or non-union, just let us do it, because if that C-stand falls because of what you did,
Right.
guess who they're going to be looking at?
That's you.
They're going to be looking at the key grip.
And I think the big theme is like asking permission and communication.
Communication.
Hey, do you mind if I move this apple box? Oh,
Not
I'll
at
get it.
all.
Or I'll have one of my guys get it. Or sure, kid, go ahead and move that apple box.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the respect of asking for permission, which I think
It's not
is
even the respect thing. It's more of just a safety thing.
It is a respect though, because it's like you'll give, like for camera, for instance, we always give them at least 2 to 3 C-stands, couple of apple boxes, couple cardellini's. Pretty standard thing. You know they're going to come asking for it. Right. And you always know the young kid is like walking up to the grip truck with his hands in his pockets. He's like, oh, I don't know if I'm in the right spot. And you're like, yeah, I know what you need. Come over here.
right.
Yeah.
But you just got to ask. And you know, like you said, I don't have this stuff. I need help.
Or one of the other bigger things is like when somebody does not ask and takes a piece of our equipment,
Oh yeah.
electric or whoever, and then
wanna
at
get
the end of the
shot 'cause
day,
that's how you get
we're
shot.
running around trying to find this last, because sometimes we're renting other people's trucks, and then we're running around trying to find this last shot bag, and it's in makeup department,
Right.
you know, and it's like, this just costed me 30 minutes of running around trying to find this one sandbag
Of OT for 5
of
guys.
OT for 5 guys,
Right.
For a
so we could
$35
wrap
piece
up
of
our
gear.
truck.
Right.
That's another thing like production's got to think about, or just people on set. It's like, I'm not here to like try to keep tabs on my gear at the end of the day. Just ask, let me know that you're grabbing this, and then I can make a mental note of that.
Right.
Done deal.
So, I guess in summation,
Yeah.
who says that?
Yeah.
That's not a word.
You just did.
To wrap it up, I
Grips
guess
here, bud. Smaller words.
I don't read.
to put a nail in this coffin,
There we go.
where COVID aside, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see the movie business going with technology, like affecting? Because now we have techno cranes, which are computerized cranes. We have motion control, which is, I mean, you guys kind of help those dudes out, but those are kind of self-sufficient dudes.
Moco guys are way smarter than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
For
guys
sure.
are real
Those guys are
engineers.
rock
Those guys
stars.
are rock stars.
But-
Any Moco guy that runs that shit is
But let's take motorized gimbals for example, right? They want to strap those to new and different things every day and like send it down a stairwell. And what's it like adapting to like future technology? Like I know the camera guys have to read their volumes and volumes of shit to stay up on new cameras every
we
year.
have this one thing, and it's called a Mitchell mount and a castle nut, and that's pretty much all we have to be mindful of. Is all of our gear has stayed the same since probably the 60s.
Yeah, that's one very beautiful thing about being a grip.
You can buy it. We have a company that we work for, Kung Fu Grip. He's had C-stands that are older than I am, and I'm 26, and I guarantee you those C-stands will work just as good as a brand new one. Doesn't matter.
Or better because they're
But
fucking,
they've been around for 30 years, you know, and that's fine. But that's how different like camera is in technical world. The
or
camera
electric
heads
with the LEDs.
Yeah,
and
lights and everything. A light doesn't last more than X amount of hours, where a knuckle's going to last you 10 years.
right.
You know, but
That's a beautiful thing.
We will always have the Connects and the Legos and the Erector set toys that we always have, and it's always going to be simple ways to figure out complicated solutions. But you're always going to have that connection point. So it's like, yes, I can rig you all of this, but now you have to figure out how to put your head here.
Right.
Even though I give you the right receiver that's going to mount your stuff properly, now we have to figure everything else out.
I think, you know, don't quote me on this, but I think grips will definitely always be needed on set. For
100%.
just figuring out those very complicated shots and, you know, how am I going to mount this camera across this canyon? Well, somebody's got to be there to figure that out.
That's
So,
right.
And that's going to be us.
So if people want to find you guys on the social, Adam, what's your social?
My Instagram is Adam_Shambour at
Gmail.com.
now. Gee, I'm so used to saying that.
Yeah.
And here comes the flood of more trash emails.
Yeah, I know.
Is that your real email? You should change it. Or
No.
I'll bleep it out.
I'll give the Instagram. It's my first name Adam and _Shambour SHAMBOUR.
Oh, there's a U in there. I'll look it up to make sure. And then Nick, what's your Insta?
It's Lundstrom Photo, LUNDSTROM Photo.
Do you shoot? Are you a photographer also?
He is?
Yeah, you should check it out.
I will.
I do stuff that's like it's about light. It's more about light drawings, but not. I don't manipulate light. I manipulate the camera to make the drawings. So that's kind of weird. I don't know.
Cool.
It's
like,
cool.
Like light painting stuff.
It's light painting, long exposures. It's a lot of foreground lights and far distance, long. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain, but if you look at it, check it out.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, your social handles will be under your faces through the whole episode, so people will
Great.
be able to stop and check it out.
Good, I have
Did you
one.
get to play with any of the bioluminescence while I was here?
Oh my god!
No.
We
We just went fishing yesterday.
It's over. I went the other day, but you can still go south. It's still towards San Diego.
Yeah.
But I took my DSLR out shooting the other night.
I saw some of those photos and
I couldn't get it. I
No,
mean,
you got some of it.
if you blow that up
Yeah.
to raw, it's super out of focus.
A photo does not do luminance. Just I grew up
No.
in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I grew up on a sailboat in the ocean. We had many a nights where we've had bioluminescence algae up there, and that is it's magical. It's
I
like
got
seeing
to
the northern lights. That is just something different.
Yeah. And then to wrap it up, favorite job you've ever worked on?
this. Oh, favorite job. Oh god, there's so many.
Most memorable.
Most
Probably
memorable
Legion.
job?
Legion TV show.
You did the series?
Yeah,
I did the season 2 promos.
I did season 2 and 3 with Manny Durant with Killer Grip.
Man, what a good cast.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
I key gripped this feature called The Road Movie. Josh Richards is the DP, and it should be coming out. Should have been coming out the beginning of this year, hopefully the end of this year. What's called The Road Movie. He's also the DP that shot The Rider. It's a really good one. That's hands down most memorable.
Cool.
53-day shoot.
Wow.
A bunch of different states.
That's a lot of shooting.
There was a East Coast. There was a West Coast. Yeah, dude, it was 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
I got engaged over Christmas on that time. It's a good time.
That's a memorable one.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the Safety Meeting Podcast.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us. Seriously.
And we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
This show's a piece of shit.